What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back again here on Place and Source. This is, of course, Let's Watch The Last of Us HBO episode 4, where we go week by week with our thoughts and review of The Last of Us HBO on the episode by episode basis, ending in the review for the entirety of the season. With me, of course, the point in the progress, the point of the progress, the point of all the progresses, of course, Mario Rivera. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing well, doing well. Excited to go on this journey and throw some magazines out of a car window. So,
Indeed. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that scene too. Yeah, because I know. Yeah. We'll let them get to that.
We'll
but
we'll get there.
I want you to plug where the people can find you, of course. You know what I'm saying. But while you're doing that, I want to tell a quick little story, right? So I was shopping as I do, right? I was at my local Fry's, local Fry's Food and Drug, right? I can't even remember, but I think this is the right one, right? That is the right one.
That is the right one. Yeah.
Can you please enlighten? I don't know how to say this.
Okay. Does
anyone know?
On the spot. I still live in here. But Bejul village.
Bejul villages. I recognize villages, so I can say that. But yeah, we're gonna bust open this. I don't think I'm breaking I almost said TSA. TOS on YouTube? No, right? Because I know you can't be drunk.
You can't be drunk. You can open up a bottle.
I'm not gonna get drunk. You know what I'm saying? But
yes,
Mario, as I open this fine bottle of wine, I have no rabbit to pair with it. You know what I'm saying? But where can the people find you, Mario?
While you pop off that bottle, I'm, of course, that Mario Rivera. You can follow me over at Point in Progress, where we do all our podcasts, including MC University, Point in Progress main podcast, and other fun things. We just did the review for season, Letter of the Future. And we're getting ready for our second year anniversary at Point in Progress, which is actually on Valentine's Day. That's when we start. Yeah, this starts officially year 2 of Point in Progress. So
2 years. Damn, why do I remember you guys in 2020? I could have sworn. No.
We started basically our first year anniversary was last year. So we started technically in 2021.
Okay. Oh,
and then 2022 was our first year. 2023 is going to be second year. So since then we've had, starting off with the Point in Progress podcast, but then we had some other offshoots, and then our second main show right now is MCU.
Very nice.
Definitely shot. I also bought that wine. I totally forgot to get that prepared for the night. It's just sitting already. I already cracked it open for this episode. So definitely gonna be my thing going on for the next several weeks.
I mean, if you want, listen, I can talk to people and give you some time if you want to go grab it. Totally up to you.
Give me a few seconds.
It's optional. It's optional. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Go check out Point in Progress, of course. Mario Rivera. You know what I'm saying? They do great. I will say, if it's just me and you viewers, me and you, I am extremely jealous at the name MC University. That's so good. That's a good name for a Marvel show. You know what I'm saying? That's a real good show. But of course, down below, along with Mario's links, you can of course find our links to our Discord server. You go in there, have some fun with the homies there, and of course our Twitter and our what else? Our Anchor link that way you can listen to this podcast on podcast services and YouTube as well. Same time they go live and everything. And we got Mario here popping the old Bejuli villages. Beduji villages, something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Beduji villages.
Beduji, something like that. Put down the ground. Yeah, why not? It takes the edge off. And usually when I'm recording this show, I drink coffee. And that would have been a little bit more timely with this episode because there is a coffee reference in this show. We love it in this episode. And I'm like, hell yeah. But we're going to get to all that. Not with the wine glass. With a little, okay.
I don't have any. I actually don't own wine glasses. So that's why instead I'm using a Rock Band 4 glass that I have.
You see, no, that's real astute, people of a higher class.
That's right.
Got the Rock Band glasses. Interesting flavor profile. Okay. I am a fan of reds. You know what I'm saying? So This is good, but is this a red blend? Is this a Cabernet? What is this? I actually don't know. I didn't look. What type of wine is it? Let me see. Great. Why is it not saying it? Am I tripping?
But let's see here.
Origin, an easy drinking wine made with grapes of the highest quality from the Bergère region of Burgundy. Wait, is it Burgundy?
Who knows? We may both be wrong.
Oh, man. Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Oh, Lord.
Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.
Also down below, of course, we have the GoFundMe for Annie Wershing if you're interested in donating to her GoFundMe page for her and her family and such. She's, of course, the late, great actress that played Tess in the original Last of Us. That will remain in the description for all future episodes of Let's Watch Last of Us HBO. So if you care to do so, feel free to donate. And yeah, let's get right into some news here. Quick stuff here, unsurprisingly, Last of Us continues to rise in viewership.
Yeah.
No,
you're good. You're good.
Around 7.5 million people in the United States tuned in for episode 4, an improvement of 17% compared to the previous week's installment. And this is
right?
That is crazy.
Woo.
Also, look, I'm not saying the Grammys is like the biggest thing to watch on TV, you know what I'm saying? But
Sure.
it beat the Grammys, which is, that's gotta be. I'm sure House of the Dragons or Game of Thrones beat award shows here and there, right? So like I know it's not like the biggest thing to do, but hey, that's still pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, growing by nearly a fifth of people, probably saw it throughout the week and came back. Yes, it's dope.
From what I understand, this is not necessarily heard of as something that is a common occurrence where the viewership just keeps going up every week. Usually there's a drop off. So the fact that the show is just caught on via word of mouth is actually crazy to think about.
This wasn't on the news, but this show is real. Like it's weird seeing The Last of Us on like SNL.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like,
did you see the socials? Did you see the socials for SNL?
No. What happened?
The socials were on TikTok. It was Pedro Pascal's like, I'm on the set of SNL.
Oh, yeah, that.
Saturday Night Live. And then he's facing off a clicker that is like an intern that works at SNL. Like, it was weird.
It's so interesting. Like,
yeah.
It's just like, it's just like, damn. Like, this is so weird. Like, just seeing Last of Us, like, go into the mainstream like this. Like, it's cool. It's fucking cool. No, like, I love it. It's
really
awesome.
Cool. It's really cool. The other weird thing, because I do watch a lot of like political stuff on YouTube, to hear like people like right wingers like be complaining about the show, like Ben Shapiro, and then just like, come on, oh, Lord hell,
man. Yeah, that was something.
Can't wait for season 2. That's gonna be great for discourse.
Yo, season 2 is about to, oh man.
Yeah.
Y'all remember how tired we were after Last of Us Part 2, bro? God damn, that was so tiring, bro. Oh my God, we're gonna do it again.
It's just gonna get worse.
Endure and survive, baby. Endure and survive, man. That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. Little side note. My mom is caught up with Last of Us. She finally got it. I asked her, "How are you feeling? What are your thoughts?" You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up? She really loved episode 3. Of course.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Of course. She maybe loved that. She said that she said like something to the effect of like she wasn't expecting like zombies to like go like this,
Sure.
Which I was like, okay, that's really cool to know. Because I was afraid first episode 0, of the series that like people would think, oh, this is like a traditional zombie story or whatever. But like I'm pleased that she saw like a unique difference with these type of infected. That was cool. So yeah, she's enjoying it. Very good.
Catch up on my mother. I just asked her today. She says she's too scared to watch the rest, and she stopped at episode 2. And so I have to tell her, no, watch episode 3.
Yeah.
It is not a scary episode. Just please.
You'll
cry, but you'll cry for not the reasons you think.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'm gonna convince them to keep going for sure.
I like this. Let's do like a mom update. You know what I'm saying? Let's give a mom review how they feel about
That's
Last of
right.
Us. And
Sounds
our moms and us, of course, will get to watch Last of Us episode 5 a little bit earlier this week because of the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? This will
good.
be episode 5 will be airing on Friday, February 10th. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, same time as Sunday, but just on Friday. They said this at the beginning of the episode, I think, on HBO,
Yeah.
but
At the beginning or at the end, either way, they basically alerted like, "Hey, just so you
yeah,
know, new episode's going out early," and I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
yeah,
So
definitely.
especially where this one leads off, so it actually is kind of perfect to cap.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So, just for those that
Yeah,
are unaware, I just wanted to just highlight that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's pretty much it for news. Let's get right into it. Episode
it's
4,
quick. Okay.
review and spoiler cast, breakdown type thing. We can start service level. You know, Mario, like, how you feeling about this? We had a short little discussion before we started recording. You know, a bit of a shorter episode, not
Yeah.
a ton of movement here. You know, but how are you feeling about it overall?
I mean, ultimately, I think that we're still in a place where the show is great. At the very least, we're now building the characters that are the main thrust of the story, which is Joel and Ellie. Having them to to know each other, make jokes, make references to each other, for them to sort of become more endearing to each other with all this stuff that happens is definitely something that we've been wanting to see happen. And so I'm glad that at least the episode mostly focused on them. Obviously, there are some other things that we got to see as well that are new elements to the Last of Us story that may or may not. We'll see. I'm actually very curious about that. What your thoughts are on the new stuff? But in terms of the character work, in terms of what the story is and where we're leading to, this was a good starting. This was a good pace for where usually we would get in the middle of Pittsburgh. This is the begin cap of that
Yeah,
basically. Obviously, in this universe, it's Kansas City, but I'm happy where we are at this moment and meeting the characters that we are meeting. So yeah.
yeah, like definitely. I'm a little bit like I don't think it's a bad episode, right?
Yes.
I do think it's the lightest episode that we've gotten in terms of
And shortest too.
and short. It's at what, like 45 minutes, like barely even like. And I was definitely left like, yo, I want more. Ooh, I want more. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, really? Like, it's already over? Fuck. Like, but there was a lot of good things, like what you said. There's a lot of ground with Joel and Ellie, especially at the very end where it's like, oh, they never even came close to doing this in Last of
No.
Us 1. Maybe in the part 2 flashback, maybe, but I can't recall, but like they're definitely growing very close, very, very close. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a great to see. There are changes with this new like Hunter storyline, involving the doctor and all that, which we will get into. They're hunting Henry. We'll get into that as well. But overall, good episode. Wish we got a little bit more. To get into the breakdown here, there is not a cold open, which I think this episode could use
I th-
a little maybe. That's just
I personally no, I actually personally think that all of the we'll call them hunters, the hunters section of this episode, that should have been the cold opening. In my opinion, that should have at least opened up and set up the world in which Kansas City is in at the moment, or at very least how it looks like this group of people have taken over Fedra and taken over the QZ and basically run it on their own. Like I would have loved to seen more of that before Joe and Ellie gets there, and then we now know the threat in which they are entering. There's an interesting way to how we don't know at the very beginning when they enter, they're immediately attacked. There is a merit to that too. But if we were going to get a cold opening, I kind of would have loved all of that in the forefront, and then maybe some focus to Sam and Henry early on because we need to start caring about those characters. And if they only have one episode, and again, I actually am going to pose something to you
yeah, please.
that I've been thinking about.
Okay.
I have a feeling they're going to deviate pretty heavily from the game.
That's what I'm feeling too. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to introduce, because you can't call that last shot an introduction, really. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
and yeah, like
no.
we get little bits of like, Kathleen is hunting Henry, right? Like,
Yes.
Henry ratted to Fedra about her brother, which caused Fedra to kill her brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I get that there's that we know, but I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull off an episode where we get the same ending as the game. I'm with you. I'm not sure they're gonna die in this one.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they might not necessarily be the ones that perish. I think it's gonna possibly be Kathleen and like all those characters.
Right.
But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. I find that fascinating. I find that the way that they supplemented in the story wise is that like Bill and Frank die of their peaceful death, and then maybe Sam and Henry end up getting to go on. But I am curious of how they're going to handle it because they have a lot of emotional stuff they're going to have to handle in 59 minutes, which is the next episode's length.
Oh, it's 59 minutes?
It's 59 minutes for the next episode that we're about to see. So it's a lot longer, which makes sense because there's a lot to cover, right? We have to be introduced to Sam and Henry. We have to have a reason why we care. And it can't just be surface level of like, it's a child and a man. Like I would prefer to have like, hey, like these are clearly good people that we need to protect.
Right.
Because that's what the bad people want at this point. And again, we don't necessarily assume they're bad. We just know that in their world, any other enemy that's Fedra or outsiders is different. So again, it's interesting.
Right.
Other than the one thing that the lady does, which is blow away that that scientist, the doctor. The doctor. But there's a reason that's at least explained. It's like somebody in her life was taken. Right. So I'm very curious.
Right.
I'm very curious how they're going to go about it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Let's start from the top. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot to go.
We got notes for days.
I feel like this shot in this episode, this opening shot, is going to be a very important shot. I keep saying the old, listen, guys, like I think if you look into these scenes with Ellie, if you pay attention to Ellie, you see her development, right? And you see, and like we open right here, she's holding a gun in the mirror and she's playing with this gun. And I wrote notes like, I don't know. Okay, I could be wrong, but like to me, she's taking apart the magazine and she's, doing all these things that like, I feel like she's familiar with a weapon like that, right? But there's still an element of like a wonder where she's like examining these bullets. She even goes as far as like smelling the gun at one point. Like I know like she's a kid, right? But like again, like we're just, I'm like a very uneasy, like, okay, you're stooping into a level that, is interesting.
Yeah, I think Ellie's like getting drawn into the power of having a gun, having this sort of this thing that basically protects her from the outside world. In the same way that the way that Joel does at the end of the first episode. But if there is a line later in the episode where they talk about Fedra, like she has Fedra training. She has like how to hold a gun.
That's true. That's true.
That immediately gets dissuaded, which is awesome. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So she has some, like you're right. She does have some familiarity with the gun, but at the same time, I don't know if she's had like this alone time with the gun is the best way to describe it. Like actually like, all right, if I pull this happens. Like the way that the bullet when it flies out like seems very amateurish. But at the same time, there's definitely certain things that I think is just sort of like her feeling the power that she has with having this. In a lot of ways, it mirrors the movie Taxi Driver. There's literally just the famous scene where he's just holding the gun in the mirror. It's very similar to that, where it's just sort of like that character is also a sadistic character. So it's very interesting how it tracks with like possibly how we'll see Ellie going into season 2 specifically, as we know it, and how that how can I describe it? That how can I describe it? Basically, the just sort of like
Ellie in part 2.
Just in general, like the sadistic, like not sadistic, but basically the
ruthless, like
ruthlessness of it, like something like that.
I feel you. I feel you.
The one thing I'll say though is that immediately we find we have a moment of break, and we'll talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
I
don't got, but that's pretty much it. They're at this gas station. To me, completely side note, don't think it's connected to whatever, but like that looked very much like the gas station in Breaking Bad.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, what the fuck? I was like, where are we? I was like, Joel is pumping gas. I think there's a really cool thing that he says where they have to pump gas every hour because the gas is breaking down and it's like basically war at this point. I think that's just super cool to just like give context to how long it's been. It's been 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's really cool to have that world building, and there's a lot that we get from the worlds here in this, and I think it's really cool because in in the game, we don't really get to see the in between of the country. We really just go to point. But here they spend a little time to show us this environmental storytelling of how the world is and all that. So I thought that was really cool. He can't explain siphoning gas. I can't either. I don't know. But
Neither can I. I just know that it happens.
His explanation kind of made sense. The moving against the whatever, it is what it is. But then we get, oh wait, no, I mean before we even get to the car, Ellie has her joke book.
We gotta talk about the joke book.
Come on, you love it. No pun intended. 2, volume 2, TOO. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is where the heart in this whole episode I feel like is at. Like there's and for me, like already, like to see Bella Ramsey like be a little bit more like lighthearted in these moments, like it's very, I think it's very well done personally, like, and it's like infectious, you know what I'm saying? Like it is very, very well done. Yeah.
You know what? Funny enough, I find her choices and the way that she acts in the same way how I feel like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob acts, where there's just sort of this like this kid-like nature to them, and that's great because this is a kid, but at the same time they're like swearing, they're saying like curse words, they're trying to be an adult, they have a gun, but at the same time it's like they find joy in such little trivial things like this joke book. It's an interesting way of describing like someone that's growing up too fast but also has these childhood wonders, and it's growing on Joel. I mean, Joel hates it probably early on, but at the same time he joins in several times. There's fun hints, like there's even one a little bit later in the middle of the episode that he immediately knew a joke, and I thought that was great. So, I'm happy that they've used it. They use a supplemental thing in the game. You could literally just walk right past this and not do anything with the joke book. I mean, they'll start saying jokes every now and then, but the fact that they use that as a character building moment is just, that's incredible. That's incredible that they could do.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
And I want to specifically throw it to you because I thought of you instantly when the scene happened. I'm like, oh, because I recall you saying last week that they're probably going to negate the need for this dirty magazine scene. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're saying like, I get it. But they created one. I was like, oh, so I wonder how you feel about it. Me, shortly, I like the scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a fun, but I definitely wanted to hear your take on it and like thinking that we weren't gonna get it and then getting it.
I think in the context of like not having it at the end of the last episode absolutely makes sense because I just think it'd just be too much of a tone shift for what we experienced over that hour. But putting it at the beginning of this, where we had the joking section, and then this sort of just continuing on the building up the relationship, but also reminding the universe that hey, Bill and Frank still exist. They still were a part of this in some way, and I'm glad that carried over at the very least. Yes, the magazine thing. Oh my God, I was losing my mind. They actually did the exact same line, same stuff, literally just verbatim almost from the show. Obviously, it's in a different context because, it was raining when they did it the first time. This one is like they're in a more open field. Like, I love how much of it, just a remix it is. I'm just very much like, it's the scene, but it's in a wholly different light and context.
Right.
And so, yeah, they find a way to combine the things that we love about the video game and the scenes and moments and bring new life to it. There is a scene later that we get as well. There's something missing from that scene that I feel like they should have done it, but they didn't. And we'll talk about that when we.
Oh, I don't know actually off the top of my head.
There's a line. There's a line that they just don't say, and then we'll talk about it when we get to the city.
Okay. I see. Yeah, I might know. I think, but I'm not too sure. I just want to say one thing: that Hank Williams song.
Yes.
And like this is one thing where I'm like, but as I think about it, okay, I get not putting it in the shootout that we get, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I get it, right? In terms of like they I mean, when you think about that scene straight up, like that's a very like hectic, like that's a very serious scene. Joel and Ellie are about to get shot up and like die. You know what I'm saying? So I get if they had that playing in the background in this show, it would feel a little bit like too campy. I could definitely see that happening. I bet there's a cut somewhere. at HBO that's like, yo, this isn't working. Like, I get how it works in the game because that suspenseful feeling is already taken by the player controlling Joel, right? And being in that moment and really not wanting to actually die in the game, you know what I'm saying? I can see why they didn't put it in the show, you know what I'm saying? Like in that scene, but it was cool to have it here on the road trip scene where you know, we see really cool scenes like a bunch of bison and bulls. We see an abandoned amusement park. We see
a couple restaurants.
Yeah, we see an Arby's.
See an Arby's. So that was seated. That was seated. They knew ahead of time those sons of guns.
I was like,
yeah. FedEx shows up at one point.
Yep. Collapsed trains and all that, and just like overgrown bridges and stuff like that. Like I thought that was like a really cool way to see it. What?
Do you think that collapsed train was a reference to Uncharted 2?
Oh, I was thinking Back to the Future 3. I was like, hell yeah, okay. Uncharted 2, I like that better. I like that. That definitely makes more sense. We see them taking a little bit of a break here. You know, they go into a clearing in the woods or whatever. Just like my dad, they're eating Chef Boyardee, which maybe getting a little personal, but I'm sure my dad won't mind. It was maybe like, because as kids, we had that like stocked. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, we grew up on Chef Boyardee. You know what I'm saying? But then, you know, my dad got a little bit older, you know what I'm saying? Doctor's visits, you know, we got to cut down the sodium. So my dad cold turkey cut Chef Boyardee in like 2010. I remember that. That shit was crazy. Old man was like, what? Yeah. So I haven't had a chef. I have not had a Chef Boyardee since like 2009, 2010 or something like that. So it was like, it was just cool seeing that like in the show, but fucking 20-year-old cans. Fuck.
Yeah. 20-year-old. Yeah. Chef Boyardee. I do love. There's a line that Ellie says, like, "Damn, he knows how to cook" or something. Like, that's so good. The chef knows what he's doing.
The chef knows what he's doing.
Ellie's
Yeah,
so
yeah. The chef knows what he's doing.
Ellie's so great. This.
Yeah. Then they spend the night in the forest. I just like how Ellie got Frank's tent or sleeping bag, and it's like, hey. It smells nice. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's Frank's.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, the only big noble thing here, you know, there's probably a few things. Joel cracks a smile here when Ellie tells Joel about the scarecrow joke. You know what I'm saying? I did want to note that the stars in this scene so bright, so vibrant. You know what I'm saying? Like.
I mean, that's what you get when you don't have cities.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, definitely. I did want to ask you, do you think Joel stayed up the whole night and guarded?
After the comment that Ellie makes, I think he does. I actually do think he did stay. Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. I was like, oh shit, bro.
I think it actually put the panic into Joel.
Right.
Really, I think it really honestly did, because there's that scene right after he asked the question and you see him standing up with a gun looking into the darkness. So no, I have a feeling he's that paranoid, and it's interesting how in this instance, like he lets his guard. He doesn't leave his guard down. He gets up and he monitors. But in the next the far end of the episode, totally lets his guard down completely, and then he gets on the jump on him. But I do find that interesting.
But we go into the morning here. A great piece of Last of Us, like once again, like twisting. You know what I'm saying? Joel gets his coffee in this series. Very, very nice. You know, Joel, famous. It's when they're going to the hotel. Joel's telling Ellie about coffee, and he just pushes like he can have a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying? And he finally gets it. Ellie thinks it smells like burnt shit. Starbucks is canon. Yep.
Yes,
what?
Starbucks is canon.
Yo,
no, I like coffee.
Oh, okay,
okay.
I was gonna say, I'm like, bro.
I'm just saying, just like it's not the most appeasing smell really early, especially with no additional sweeteners and stuff like that. So
that's fair. When it's black, okay, I can understand. You know what I'm saying? I can understand it's not the best smell.
And that was bubbling.
Heck yeah, no, that was some hot ass coffee, bro. Jesus.
Yeah.
Spilled coffee. What? Last note. Then they're just in the car talking, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Last known contact that Joel had with Tommy was in the radio tower near Cody, Wyoming. Now, what I thought was interesting here, Ellie asks if Tommy's not there, like where could he be? You know what I'm saying? And then Joel says, "Oh, he should be in a nearby settlement." You know, which I thought he was referring to Jackson, but which he probably could still be. Probably still is Jackson, right? But
Yes.
on the map, bro, when you look at where Cody is to where Jackson is, it's a decent. It's
truck?
pretty far from Cody, but there's two other like towns called Powell and Lavelle. So
Okay.
I just want to put those up in the air. Maybe they can be twisting that. Maybe they go to Powell or whatever, right? Maybe they switch it up, but I feel like might as well just keep it Jackson. That's just me, but we'll see. We'll see.
It might still be Jackson. It just might be that the tower just so happens to be that far, and honestly, if you're attracting anything, you don't want it necessarily to be in your home base. So I wonder if that's what
That's
the cause
fair.
was, but curious. Yeah.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
I do want to read a little bit of this quote that Joel says. This is very, very important. This is during an era that we never get to explore in the game, the 20-year gap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here we go. Ellie asks Joel about Tommy, just in general, like what's his name, that whatever. And then Joel says, Tommy's what we used to call a joiner. Dreams of becoming a hero, so he enlisted in the army right out of high school. A few months later, they ship him off to Desert Storm. It's what they called the war. It doesn't matter. Point is, being in the army didn't make him feel much like a hero. Cut to 12 years later, outbreak happens. He convinces me to join a group making their way to Boston, which I did, mostly to keep an eye on him, keep him alive. It's where we met Tess, and that whole crew. For what it was, worked. And then Tommy meets Marlene. She talks him into joining the Fireflies. Same mistake he made when he was 18. Want to save the world. Pipe dream. Him, Fireflies, all of them. Delusional. Of course, last I heard, he quit the Fireflies too. So now he's on his own out there, and I gotta go get him. I don't know a ton about Desert Storm. Right? I was not born, but that would put him in line where Joel said that he was 18 during 1991, which when Desert Storm happened. So right now, with some math, whatever, Tommy's 50.
Got it.
Just to keep everyone track. Yeah.
How
just
old
that,
is how old is Diego Luna? Because not Diego Luna. I'm sorry.
the actor that plays Tommy
Yeah,
in the show? I have
Diego
no
Luna's Diego Luna's Andor. Give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
Gabriel Luna, is that his name?
Gabriel Luna. Yeah.
Gabriel Luna. Holy, he seems young. Here, I'm looking him up real quick because he was on. He was actually the bad guy in Dark Fate, the Terminator movie. And then let's see. Okay, he was born in 1982. That was 40 years ago. So okay.
Okay. He's right.
Yeah. So okay, he's they're extrapolating a little time. Actually, how old is I just saw this on the internet today that Pedro Pascal I think is like what 49, 48 or something like that.
Oh, really?
The reason why I know that is because he's the same age or near the close to same age as Leonardo DiCaprio. Bella Ramsey is the same age as Leo DiCaprio's girlfriend, which is
That's extremely.
oh,
I saw a stat.
Okay.
I saw a stat where she's younger than Titanic the movie.
Yes, she's younger than Titanic the movie.
That's fucked
And
up.
the other, I love that we're just taking a shit on Leo DiCaprio.
We'll just take a second.
We'll take a second. The other thing I realized was that her high school years were interrupted by COVID.
She didn't have a fucking high school graduation, bro, because of COVID, bro.
But dude,
Listen,
she's back to
man.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Look, man. Hey, listen. 2 adults, I guess, but nah, bro. Listen, man. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Bro. I don't know, bro.
Okay. Anyways.
So, yeah, I think it was cool that they added a little bit of like real history in this series about Desert Storm and 9/11 and stuff like that. Like it's truly meant to be like our real life, right? Like if this were to happen,
Yeah.
you know. But then
One thing I do want,
yeah,
one thing I
please
do
go.
want to say though about that scene though is the fact that he's opening up to Ellie to even
Yeah,
tell the story, because
exactly.
he was very close-minded earlier on. So the fact that he's even willing to give that information, I think is great.
Ellie, you know, asks, you know, why even go on, right? Like if like you think like the fireflies hopeless, whatever, and all that, you know. And
Yeah.
Joel says something to the effect of like he goes on for family, which is an interesting thing for Joel to say.
Yeah.
Just because in the game, like his his main quote of that same tenor is, I struggled for a long time with surviving, and no matter what, you keep finding something to fight for. You know what I'm saying? Like he never really gets a fully answer like why you fight to continue to move on, you know? So I think it's interesting that in this show it's family. I think this was to reinforce his other line where it's like, I'm doing this because Tess, I made a dying promise to Tess. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's just like another way of pushing that, like that's the main reason as to why this is happening and why Joel's doing this, you know? But
Your cargo.
yeah, you're cargo. You were cargo. I love the bit where Ellie goes like, I'm not even tired, and then Ellie passed out. Same thing in the game.
Yeah.
Same
Same thing in the
thing
game.
happens.
So good. Yes.
Do you think that, so they reach a tunnel that they can't cross, right? Do you think that this was intent? Like, is this from the hunters?
That or even Fedra. I mean, I'm wondering how they blocked up, barricade the whole city in a way that just basically allows only a certain entry point into the world.
Right.
In this case, is they find a different route in order to enter. I wonder if that's also leads them. Also, the fact that they go down a certain path where they get ambushed. So, yeah, it's very much could possibly be either Fedra or the hunters have decided that this is the way to funnel people into the city.
Yeah.
I did freeze frame on our video here just so I could see what movies were playing at the theater here.
Yeah. Is there something cool?
Just Underworld and Matchstick Men. Underworld is obviously the vampire werewolf movie, and then Matchstick Men is like con artist kind of movie. So I don't know, nothing too crazy unless someone is involved in these movies that I'm not aware of.
So those are real movies from 2003?
Those are real movies.
Okay,
so I know that those are real movies. I can look to see if they came out in 2003. I also noticed in the background there's a Radio Shack in there too. So I thought that was
I did see the Radio Shack, yeah. Something that you said earlier on, I think it would have been cool to see the hunters actually like take over the QZ
take over
as like a prequel. Yeah.
straight up.
Well, not
straight
prequel.
up. I would have
cold open. Yeah.
honestly, and
That would've been dope
someone
as
brought
fuck.
this up. I think it was kind of funny. I think that I listened to that said it, but it kind of sets up the world in a way where like, so Kathleen and these characters could exist in another series, right? And the series could just be, I mean, not the faction show, but like this is a small piece of The Last of Us that has nothing to do with Joe and Ellie, and it's over here. Like I'm curious if like they ever would like to expand on these things, because I feel like they're gonna tell the story of Joel and Ellie. Then they can mess around with this universe forever if they wanted to exploit every little inch of Last of Us. So I think that's could be something that they do.
Right.
Yeah.
We see the burned corpse pile, which is also in the game as well.
Yes.
So seemingly they are hunters of the same ilk in the game, where they get innocent people, they strip them of their clothes and everything, and they have it like on this like crazy market where they have pricing for all this stuff. Like it's pretty fucking dark. You know what I'm saying? I also think it's super cool that we hear in episode 3, Frank say that the Baltimore QZ is all
QZ?
gone. Yeah, like I think it's cool to see
Baltimore's gone.
to see like a broken down QZ like here in this episode. Like
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool. How we feel about the shootout scene? Major scene in the game.
So-
you know what I'm saying? What do we got?
So that's the part that I was talking about that I felt that I think they nailed almost majority of the way there, but the line that I missed was Joel says he's not even hurt. Like I missed that.
Yeah.
That's the line where I would have loved, and then that's when the Hank Williams like picks up, he drives
Hell
through
yeah.
and like does the thing, which is it's cool in the game. It's very cool. I think contextual wise, I think it made sense to play it in the other scene versus now. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's just kind of awesome that they I mean, It's definitely, in my opinion, more cinematic in the video game. Just the way in terms of the look of the place in which they are in. It looks like they're in a laundromat of some sort. Not necessarily interested in location. In the game, it's more fun, right? Because they're like, it's a convenience store of some sort, and there's like aisles and stuff like that, and then you're walking behind aisles, you're stabbing dudes. And
Yeah, it's like a store. I mean, if you remember, there's a scene where like someone almost slices Joel's throat open on a piece of glass, and he fucking gets the best of him and slice like. That would have been crazy to see it live. You know what I'm saying?
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
These are the stuff that I wish that they could put more focus on. Obviously, most of the scene is like most of the scene's actually from Ellie's perspective, which is not something that we get in the game, right? It's all told from Joel's. So
yeah,
in the sense that Ellie's behind the wall and then there's people dying because she's hearing gunfire. Yeah, I do find that interesting change from the game. So I guess in that aspect, I think I enjoy it. The fact that, I get to see it from another perspective. And this is actually a combination of two moments. I think this is a combination of when they were getting the ladder and they had to fight the guy with the water and it was drowning Joel.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
That's a combination of these two scenes together where Ellie, it's a bigger moment, I would say, in the show. I'm sorry, in the game than it is here. But at the same time, it does add context because Ellie does the thing that she wants, which is she gets the gun and she uses it to shoot, and she doesn't kill the thing that she was putting on and sees a human, and the human's calling out for his mother and doing all these things. And I find that definitely fascinating in comparison to just totally executing the guy in the game. And so I do think that does add dimensions of the character, that the character's not fully gone, not fully a sadistic person, and that there is humanity in this world. And so I do find that to be here. However, on the flip coin of that, Joel's a fucking sociopath. Which, did you notice? He didn't shoot him. He used a knife.
He used his knife.
He used his knife.
The one that he tried to offer as like a peace offering. Which I'm like, yo, that's fucked up. I was like, damn.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. I would do.
Yep. And save bullets.
Which I get, right? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I do think that like Joel wasn't as really at all like mad at Ellie. Which in the game, he's like berating her, like straight up, like and it takes him a while to be like to have his way of saying thank you, and it's like a little bit more of like a longer thing as opposed to here where like he just, I think, is in a lot of shock. He feels sorry that Ellie had to do that, what I'm saying? And we get that quicker in the game. We get that quicker in the show than what we do in the game, where like they remove that like which I guess I can kind of understand, because Joel was a big dick to Ellie. You know what I'm saying? Like and like a lot of the game, you know what I'm saying? So like I can see them trying to just tone it down a little bit, but still show his dark nature, like you said, of executing this man with his own knife and like telling Ellie to go behind, and you hear the stabbing and all that. So like, I think they're still getting it across that like Joel is definitely a bad guy, and there's definitely the famous lines that we get soon here in this episode where, Joel's not a good guy, like overall. Yeah.
He's had to do some things, and
definitely
he's kept them alive this long. To I guess the when they're hiding, because I do want to talk about something specifically about them.
When they're hiding, okay.
In the bar, in
the bar, The only big thing else I gotta say about this, they start doing their sneaking, you know what I'm saying? Now it's they're on their Metal Gear Solid shit, you know what I'm saying? Where like they're like, they're straight up on the hunt, or they're trying to escape. I do love that the enemies chirp Brian, which was the guy that they killed. Just a little bit of part 2 in there. Like that's not necessarily like, it's not like Last of Us Part 2 claimed that, but like that's just a feature that I remember that was heavily advertised for part 2 and everything.
It's humanizing the bad guys.
Yeah. Yep. What else did we get? I think here we jump to Kathleen. This is the to Kathleen. So I said this briefly in the beginning half of this episode, but Kathleen is holding up this doctor where Kathleen is naming off names to this doctor. She says like the Berquist, Mark Anthony Halpin, Carrie Schreiber, the Chans, Henry Burrell, which then Henry they focus on that standpoint.
Yeah.
And essentially what's going down here is that Kathleen is trying to figure out who ratted out her brother to Fedra, which they ended up killing him, presumably in this very cell. And because the doctor was protected and had a lot of talks with Fedra, with being a doctor, she thinks that either he told on Fedra about her brother or Henry did for some reason, which I don't think is made clear here. And the doctor knows Henry's whereabouts.
I'm curious if like the people that are named are like people that were definitely not part of this sort of group that's trying to like insurge against the Fedra. And I'm wondering if Henry was just a part of that and therefore is being seen as like the leader of this subgroup within a subgroup. And I'm curious, like I'm curious about the context, and I'm sure we'll get that more with next week's episode. But at the very least, it is interesting to see how this person is using them as like a scapegoat almost for their loss. And I feel like that's ultimately the case here. Specifically, this person in power, the reason why they're in any sort of power is because they have a skill that I assume Fedra needed. But I'm curious of like, I am curious about how this has to do with overall the characters. I'm not totally sure, but I'm also not necessarily most invested in this section too. So, you know,
I have a similar thing. Like, I'm gonna need more reasoning to like Kathleen. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm just a little like.
And are we supposed
I'm
to
a wait
like
and
this
see.
person?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
there
like,
is that too. There's that.
Other
Right.
than adding context to the same thing of like, why do we do the things that we do? And she's obviously doing it off of the loss of love. And so, there's definitely still a connection to the themes here. It's just, in terms of my attention span and what I want is like, I want to see, Ellie
Right. Yeah.
walk around, fight clickers and stuff like that, which is,
Probably
what it is.
probably my favorite thing about Kathleen is when they're having this conversation and like they kind of do a little bit of a commentary of this cyclical violent nature aspect of things where, doctors the doctor's like, this has to stop, blah, 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 whatever, let's just end it here. And Kathleen's like, oh, okay, so like it's cool to end it here when you're in the cell about to die, but when it's our people, it's just kill them all.
Yeah.
Violence full tilt, and so she poses the question of like, oh, like why should I stop now if you didn't stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I did like that, how like it's like, okay, like there is that cyclical violent nature that obviously is heavily seen in part 2, but like, will definitely come to pass and is like a major Last of Us theme as well. They bring up Brian and the other person they shot. I forgot who he was named or whatever. But we see OG Tommy, our boy. OG Tommy. Yes,
look at him.
Jeffrey Pierce, is that his name? I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Pierce,
man.
Shout out to him. Yo,
God.
fucking
Silver Fox, man.
Oh,
look at him.
wait, is he
right now?
Wait, no. I'm thinking of a Metal Gear character. No, I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh,
I thought you were thinking about Gray Fox. I was like, wait, is he Gray Fox? No.
he could be. Hell, he could be Revolver Ocelot. Oh my
Dude,
God.
I'm with that. Yo, I already like him so much. I'm like, I want to see more of you, bro. I really hope you survive next episode. Like,
Yes.
trying to see more of you, bro.
Fun thing, by the way, that I heard on TikTok, and you know who I heard it from?
Who?
Logan Moore, a friend of the show, who works at comicbook.com. He's actually does a podcast over at Point in Progress called Model Citizen Show with me. He did an interview with Gabriel Luna, who does Tommy in the show.
Yep.
And he asked him point blank, did Bella and Pedro were told not explicitly not to play the game. Did they give you the same directive? And he actually said that, well, they couldn't because I've already played 1 and 2. So my boy knows what Tommy sounds like and is just doing a Tommy voice.
Yo, they sound very close. He does a really good job. No, it's weird.
Yeah.
I know,
it's a little crazy.
I know you saw it side by side, but like that fucking phone call, bro. How is that? The fact that that's 2 different people is insane to me. I'm like, bro, y'all sound so similar over the phone, bro. It's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
So pretty much, long story short, Kathleen draws the conclusion that, okay, Henry must have killed these two people on her squad,
Yeah.
right? Which again, like, is kind of loosely. So I'm not sure how it all really makes sense quite yet. You know,
Yeah.
I think it'll make
Going back
sense.
to the scene,
Yeah, like
like,
it's something about. Man, I'm trying to like make sense of it because like it was just that one conversation and then we go into like a bunch of other stuff, but yeah, so like I mean, long story short, when I guess Kathleen sees that there's no like saving this person that got shot or whatever, because even if they have a doctor, one of Kathleen's men's like, hey, like no, like it's a wrap, like this is not gonna happen. She goes in, shoots the doctor, and then she basically orders everyone to go hunt for Henry and whoever helps and aids Henry in the city, right? And then they start busting down doors, and it's kind of a crazy scene because like they have a lot of equipment, like they're very capable, like this group of hunters, right? And they start going on the prowl, going around the city. And then we get to the bar scene, which you said you had something to say specifically.
Yeah,
I was gonna let you just take that. I was gonna let you just take the reins if you want. Yeah, please.
Yeah. I think this bar scene is actually in replace of the scene in which Joel and Ellie are on sort of the not the high rise, but like
They're like scaffolding.
The scaffolding.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the scene is. It's just basically him giving her the training stuff for that segment. Like that's very much in line with what they're doing, and those character moments that they get to share. Like very much like kind of sad in a lot of ways, but is still they're constantly melding those two together and making them more endearing as we go along. And that exactly happens in that moment in the game. So it definitely caught me off guard at like how they're able to combine those. And yeah, we're not going to get Joel skippering around and taking out a whole like apartment buildings like all the time. Like that's just not going to happen. But I like the way that they at the very least are combining these stories and going in a different route about it. Again, it's this remixing that I'm enjoying.
Yeah. Yo, Bella Ramsey, I think, is really flexing her acting chops in this episode. Like, like there's a lot of different sides you get to her in this episode, and like I'm like, fuck, like she can act, Yeah. She's really good. Like,
yeah.
I just like melted. Like when she quietly is like crying, and it's like wiping her tears real fast. I'm like, fuck, man, like that's good. Like it looks like a raw, like, like I thought she was great in this scene. I did think it was kind of fast, at least in the moment, for Joel to just go from like, hey, let's talk about how you paralyzed the man, and then we're gonna teach you how to shoot a gun, or not shoot, but like teach you like some proper gun. I don't know. Maybe like that's just a me thing. I just felt like that one too. Maybe it's because I'm too hung up on like how in the game that took a little bit, of time, and like I think maybe that's primarily what it could be. But just like for me, like it still kind of felt like a little bit, kind of quick, at least for me.
This is how I'll explain it, and I think the reason is because Joel was gonna die. Point blank, without Ellie, Joel is gonna die in that scene specifically. So for him to make that switch of like, you're not gonna get a gun to, this is how I'm gonna properly show you how to defend yourself, is because, he kind of needs her in some of these aspects. Like he did not see her coming. He's not the same person that he was 20 years ago, or the same person that he was 10 years ago. And I feel like that's what we're gaining at. That he is even mentions it later in the episode when he's climbing the stairs. He's like, he talks shit. He's like, I'm 56. Like,
little shit.
Like you little shit, which is fucking awesome. So I think it's really just getting to the fact that like Joel is not going to be completely capable of handling the situation like he thinks he is. And so for him to let in a little bit and say that he's sorry that this has happened, but also then giving her the guidance of like, this is how we properly will do this. Because theoretically, if he gave her that information early on, maybe it wouldn't necessarily have that moment. But at the same time, you can't get there until you do it. So it is what it is. But I think it's definitely more of a character point.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. Okay. Yeah. I'm sold. Okay.
All right. Cool.
You got me.
Got
you
you back on board.
got me. I like the quote where Joel says, "You'll shoot your damn ass off if you put it."
You shoot your damn ass off.
Put it
And
in your
immediately
pack.
puts it in a pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder if that will come back in any possible way. But I thought that was funny how yeah,
we
your
get
damn ass off.
we go back to shoot your damn ass off. We get back to I forgot his name in the show. I'm gonna call him OG Tommy. I hope y'all can understand.
Oh, Perry. His name is
Perry. Okay. Perry takes Kathleen to an addict where this is where Sam and Henry were holed out for however long it was. I don't know where I saw this. I think saw it maybe on Twitter, but like that there was gonna be a Ish storyline callback in this episode because they couldn't fit the story of Ish.
I wonder if it's this episode or next episode, because next episode they're in the like schoolyard thing, so I don't know, maybe.
I thought it was this one because the drawings of like the kids
Maybe.
drawings, and like
I'll have to look into it.
yeah, that's what I thought. I could be wrong, but like nonetheless, those like kid drawings to me just call back to the story of Ish in The Last of Us when you're in the sewers and all that, and you learn all that whole side story. Like, I wish they could put that in. Oh, that would have been so great to see live because I love the story of Ish. That shit's so fucking cool. But yeah, there's kids drawings there, so they're like, okay, cool, like. They're out of food, and then she says like Henry's not gonna let Sam go starving. So there is this weird thing where like Kathleen is very much aware of Henry and Sam. In the game, doesn't Henry and Sam originally have a group, and they broke off and they're trying to meet up with them? So now I'm like, is this supposed to be their original group? Like, I'm curious. I'm curious now.
So that's remember when I was saying that like the group of the Chans, the Haplin and stuff like that, is that the group? The group that they keep mentioning, and then they are on the other side of the QZ, and then that's the whole point of Sam and Henry is trying to get over there.
I like that. I
think that might end up being it, but then we don't know what happens to that group of obviously because we never get there, or at least we get there and they're not there. I think is that what happens, but that very much is the possibility there for sure. But we got to talk about the basement, man.
What the fuck is this, bro? Yeah, what is
what
this?
the fuck
bro?
is going on with the basement? I don't know. It's weird.
According to marketing, according to the episode 5 trailer, right? I'm assuming that's the bloater. Why is the bloater underground? Like,
I don't know, and I don't know.
Yeah, very much like what the fuck is this? Like, yeah.
I don't think he's alone either, to be honest with you. And I wonder if it has something to do with the underground tendril stuff. If the underground tendrils are making their way. Yeah. But again, it's very interesting. It's definitely not from the game, and so it's gonna be a rude awakening once we find out when that hole explodes, which we know it does, just from the marketing. Spoilers from the marketing.
Yeah.
But even so, like, what is the ramifications of that? Because clearly Kathleen's not on it. She does not see it as a worry when the fucking ground moved. Like,
no, it's pretty concerned. I mean, she tells Perry, "Yo, lock up this building, whatever." She says, we'll handle it later. We'll figure out later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's interesting as fuck.
That's yeah. Well,
we'll
see you in a couple days.
yes, we will. Then we move over to Joel and Ellie one last time here. They reach the tall building that they were after. I think their main goal here was to get to that building to be able to get a better look at the city and then figure out their escape route. I think that's what it is.
It's for that, but also the fact that, I mean, whenever you're going to search for like a building, you're probably not going to go to the top either.
Right. Yeah.
That's a big ass building that they go into.
33 floors. So. Bro, I'm not. Yeah. Listen, I'm
not fucking walking.
I'm checking maybe 5, maybe 5 floors and be like, all right, Kathleen, all clear. Yo, we're good. Perry, I got it. Yo, it's good. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Yeah, he's spry. Yeah,
I checked it. We're good. Right, we're good. I love the quote. I love the quote where they like Joel boosts Ellie up, and then Ellie unlocks the door, and then Ellie's like, "Where would you be without me?" And then Joel goes in fucking Wyoming. We're like, by now in Wyoming, and Ellie's like, I walked into that.
So good. Oh my god.
We get another gag reflecting the test gag of like, my bad knees. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They walk up 33 floors to this one. I mean, in this building. Let me see. Oh, then we get Ellie asking a very famous question of the, you know, how did you know about the ambush? You know, I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And then Joel says, I've been on both sides. It was a long time ago. We did what we needed to survive. And then Ellie says, you and Tess. And then Joel says, and the people we were with, my brother too. Ellie asks, did you kill innocent people? And Joel does not answer this question. Same thing in the game, you know, which I wanted to call back to when you said it, but I wanted to wait until we got to this point where you said, like, yeah, like there is a lot of questions that they're both asking and they're both opening up to each other more and more. Mm-hmm. But there's two questions that they both ask each other that they do not answer. This is Joel's question where Joel's like, I'm good. I'm not going to even touch that. And then the other one is when they get to the 33rd floor or whatever. I like how Ellie calls Joel lazy ass, whatever. Joel goes on 56. You little shit, whatever. You know. Before we get to the question, Joel's has glass on the floor to make sure he's able to hear when someone comes in, which will definitely bite him in the ass later on. But then Joel asks Ellie what she meant by it not being her first time she's hurt someone, you know, and Ellie says, I don't want to talk about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought it was cool that like we had this pretty much whole episode of like, there wasn't any question that was left unanswered. Like they were both answering each other. And then towards the end, we get these two questions back to back that are like, nah, like too far.
I have a question for you, and I have not read this comic book in a while.
Okay.
Is this a reference to American Dreams?
It could be. I don't.
Because I saw, because I have the comic somewhere. I actually think I threw it. I still have it. And I'm pretty sure something happens with Riley and Ellie with someone that they beat. And I think Riley stabs someone.
Damn, something like that. I don't see.
Something happens.
I have a dedicated playlist from like 4 years ago where I read through all the comics on the channel, right? So I know it's somewhere on this channel. I honestly forgot how that story went. What I kind of thought she was alluding to was when Joel and Riley have their little butt heads moment, you know?
Sure.
I'm like, could she be referring to that? But I'm like, no, because it was mainly like, I'd say like Riley kind of did a little bit more of the hurting there, you know, by like, kind of, you know, but maybe it is American Dream stuff. I'm not sure. Honestly, I forgot.
Curious.
Yeah.
I'll look into it for next week, and then we can talk about that. But I'm wondering if that's what it's referring to, and if we're going to see that in Left Behind. Again, we have a whole episode dedicated to it called Left Behind. So I'm sure that we'll get some.
Do we know what episode is that? Do I want to know
That's
that
episode like 7.
Okay.
Here, I'll look up the titles. Here, go ahead.
Interesting. I like that. But yeah, you know, after that, one of my, I think this is gonna go down as like one of like the best moments in the show, period. When Ellie and Joel are just cracking up at the like shit joke. What was it, like diarrhea runs in your genes or whatever? Diarrhea is hereditary. It runs in your genes. And that just gives Joel like a good laughing fit because we don't see that in the game. So like I just thought that was obviously like a very warm moment, you know, there.
Yeah.
Love that moment. And then also Ellie notices that Joel can't hear very well on his right ear. Joel says that is from his shooting side where he shoots, obviously. But Ellie thinks that it could be from the bullet that he took on that side of his face as well, but could be a mix of both. But I like that they said that because if you notice when he falls asleep, he's falling asleep on his right ear. But then when we go and we cut back, he's on his left side and his right ear is exposed, so he couldn't hear Henry and Sam come in. And yeah, I thought
for sure
that was a cool little thing. Yeah, so then we'll get more Henry and Sam.
No, for sure. And then a little bit that adds to the cadence of like he opened himself up too much and then therefore he dropped his guard and
right.
You know, so I wonder if he's gonna harden up after that, or what the ramifications of him being mad about that. I don't think there's gonna be much, to be honest, but I do find that interesting, or at least a character moment of like him softening up, and therefore they got in this situation. At the same time, man, breaking the glass is just such a video game thing.
Hell
Like,
yeah. Hell yeah.
you know, it reminded me of not necessarily Metal Gear, but it reminded me of Splinter Cell, just like stepping on glass, making noises. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, then we end. I do know that I think I read this. Is this true that they Sam is deaf in the show?
Yeah. Sam will be an actor that requires ASL. So
Nice.
the
Cool.
the character version in the game obviously differs, but in this one, yes, it would be played by a deaf child actor.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very, 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 very cool. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, you get a glimpse of it in the up and coming scenes. So
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
But yeah, that's about it. Overall,
Yeah.
a good episode. I think there's enough here for the fans to, get some really cool, deeper stuff that is not just surface level that the average viewer that hasn't played the games might not have known, and then vice versa. Like, I do think it's a cool look at seeing the hunters, right, and like getting a little bit more feel of like what is The Last of Us like once you go outside of Boston, once you go outside of. We don't get a look at Billstown, but like our version of Billstown, right? Like you still don't get any hunters really until you get to Pittsburgh, which is now Kansas City. So
Yeah.
I think it does like accomplish what the game does in its same counterpart, but it just felt like it was kind of like I wish it was just something extra, I think you have great ideas of like, it would be cool to see a little bit more of the hunters in a cold open. I would love to have seen the hunters actually take down the QZ if they had some sort of like coordinated effort to do that. A little bit more of Henry and Sam in there, and like really flesh that out more. But a good episode, not anything crazy, but a good episode.
Yeah. What do you think of the detail that Sam looks like he has paint around his eyes? Like,
Yeah, is it gonna be like? I thought of this is gonna be kind of random. Did you ever play the Adventures of Captain Spirit? It was a live action spin-off. Is it something like that where like he's like role playing a hero type thing? Is that kind of what it is? And like there's the drawings on the
yes.
There's the drawings where like it seems like he's in the superheroes
He's very much
stuff.
in the
Yeah.
superheroes for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's everything and how Sam perceives himself as a good guy, and that might be leading us into the fact that we need to trust these people. But at the same time, I again, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna rip our fucking hearts out and and feed us it? Because it's really sad as to what's gonna happen.
Damn.
So I don't know. Well, time will tell.
We will see. We will see next week.
Yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, great episode. Until then, Mario, where can people find you?
Of course, you can find me over at Point in Progress, where, of course, I do many podcasts, including the Point in Progress podcast, MCU University, and the Model Citizen Show, which will have new episodes this upcoming week. So definitely check us over there at the youtube.com/Point in Progress. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Mario Rivera.
Indeed. This has been Let's Watch Last of Us HBO episode 4. We'll be back next week with episode 5, the halfway point. Look at that.
Yeah,
the halfway
I'm
point.
already sad. I'm already sad that this is almost done.
It's just like we got like so much more. I feel like from 5, it's gonna be like all gas, no brakes. There is that Left Behind section, which like we can imagine where that's gonna be in the main game.
Yes.
It does take place during the main game when you play that DLC, so I bet it'll be around that time, right?
I wonder if there's a cliffhanger in one episode, then
Right.
it's Left Behind, then it's that. The one thing I'm curious about though is like, are they doing the school stuff, the university stuff? Is that cut out from the show? I'm
I
curious,
hope not, because I mean that like I feel like you don't have to spend too much time there.
Fair.
Like in the game, it's probably like 25 minutes tops, maybe 30 minutes tops, maybe.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the episode with Tommy, maybe that's where they go. Something
Yeah.
crazy happens.
It definitely has to be after Tommy, but like my thought too is like, are we gonna get a Joel injury type thing too?
That's where I think the cliffhanger, if they decide to do it that way,
Yeah.
that's the cliffhanger that leads you into the Left Behind episode.
Yes.
And then the next episode after that is the winter stuff.
Winter, yeah.
In my mind. So
That's definitely how you gotta do it. Yeah. We'll see. We will see.
yeah,
But
we'll see. Yeah.
until next week, thank you all for watching. And as always, greatness awaits.
Greatness awaits.